Today in the Homeschool Breakroom, we are going to talk about one of my favorite subjects overall, but definitely my favorite subject in homeschool, and that is math. So, as people are joining us, I would love to know in the comments, is math something that brings you anxiety, or is it something that you enjoy? I was listening to a podcast. Hello, welcome, Tired Mom. Um, I was listening to a podcast this week about math and said that reports, one report they quoted, said about 90% of adults, at least in America, have math anxiety and tired mom. I would love to know if this is something that you experience here in England, I believe. If that's something that's prevalent there as well. I would love to know if this is just an American thing or what. Um, so I was really surprised by that, and I started Googling some other resources, some other studies, and there's a lot of variable answers on how many adults experience math anxiety, but every study showed that at least half of Americans experience math anxiety. Karen, welcome. I'm glad to see you join us as well. So I was really blown away by that, which was perfect timing because if you saw my video today, I talked about a middle math program. So as I was thinking about it, this would be a good topic for today as well, because I absolutely love math. I love doing math. I love teaching math. And so I thought, just talk about things. I would love to know, I want to talk about like curriculum. I've got a few different programs to share. If anyone has questions or wants to dig into comments about whether they like math, why they don't, etc., struggles, whatever. I'd love to have you walk away today feeling excited to go teach some math. So if I can do that in a new way, let me know. Karen, do you enjoy math? Tired Mom, I feel like I'm in the minority too because I love math. I love teaching math. I love doing it, but I feel like so many people don't. Karen, struggle to teach it, especially with your daughter. I don't remember what math program you use. Try my comment. I saw something else on Facebook today. It was like all the math stuff was like converging this week. But it was a meme, and it said something about if you don't understand your child's math, perhaps it's not their way of teaching, that they're learning math that's bad, but the way you learned it. Oh, that is really interesting. And I thought it was really just a great food for thought. I don't necessarily think that's always true, but I think for a lot of people that is, because especially I went to school in the 80s mostly, it was my elementary years, and it was very much just like, here's how you do the problem, but not like why you do it that way, which has been something that I've really learned now as I'm teaching my own kids, like their math program. Like, oh, that's why you do it that way, or that's why that works. With my daughter, when we were doing fractions, especially, and negative numbers in elementary. So, like, I remember, especially in like 5th grade with her, I just had all of these light bulbs, like, oh, that's why so and so struggle with math in school, because they were dumb. We just didn't know, which I hate it. Like, I'll be the first to admit that I have been very judgmental in my life about people and math, because math always just made sense to me. And so I was judgmental. But now I understand why people would view problems a certain way or why they might have struggled. Anyway, I vowed to do better as a parent and not be so judgmental. And yeah, so let's do some chatting. Singapore, I love. She was showing my switcher teaching textbooks. Is teaching textbooks working for her better now that you've switched her, or is it still a problem with her? I don't know much about your national curricula. I honestly love the Common Core standards and the different ways of being able to solve problems, because it's all what makes sense to me. That was just the way I did math in my head. But there are some really bad Common Core curriculum or Common Core aligned curriculum. When I look at some of the problems that, especially come out of public school, I think, well, no wonder, like that is worded poorly, etc. And I don't know about, I forget, are you in England, Wales? I forget. I don't know about other places, but here in America, our elementary teachers teach everything versus like middle school and high school where they're specific to the subject. And I think that honestly is a part of the problem, because if the teacher doesn't know math well, then they can't teach it well. They don't really understand it. And that's not a knock on teachers, elementary teachers, I was one. But a lot of them they didn't learn it well enough, and they didn't learn how to teach it well enough. And so it just creates all these problems. So then kids struggle with the basics, and then they struggle with more complex, and then they have math anxiety, etc. And I really wonder how much things would change if we made a better focus at putting teachers who are have more math training in the elementary school level. Karen, I absolutely understand that. Mommy had a meltdown this afternoon. Be honest, it was not a good afternoon in my homeschool. But more visual than teaching textbooks. Have you considered Right Start Math, which is pretty hands-on? It was too hands-on for me. It was too much. But I also tried it when it was kindergarten years. I was newly pregnant and had a 2-year-old, so it may have been some of the circumstances. I don't know. Anyone has a math programming recommendation that's visual and such? Look down in there. I don't know what that program is. Here, Mom, that sounds interesting. We use Beast Academy with my boys, which has story along with it, and they love that. And my middle kiddo loves Like a Friend too, which is more story based. So if you didn't see my video that I put up earlier today, I'm not going to go into it very much, but I did want to share this because it's on sale right now. Pepper and Pine put out her mental math curriculum. If you don't know her channel, go check her out. Her channel's lovely. Even if she does Waldorf, her homeschool's Waldorf, and I'm not, but I still get inspiration from her and stuff. Anyway, but the curriculum for math, mental math, I'm not going to go into it, like I said, very much because I've got the video about it. but it's on sale through September 14th. She has two versions of it. One is for grades 1 through 3, and the other one's 4 through 8. 1 through 3 has 2 years of questions, and the other one has 3 years of questions. But it's just each day you have 6 middle math questions, and that's it. 5 minutes, maybe 10, depending on how much, how quick your kids are with it. And it's really good. So this is, you can see what week 1 starts out with. So it's like 7 times 8 minus 42. Almost all of the ones in this level are 2-step equations. And then the 1st through 3rd grade are mostly 1-step equations. But we are using this, and you can see the ones that are highlighted. I do this with both my boys together. So if both of them do not get the problem right, I highlight it and we go back to it the next day. They're enjoying it. Well, I feel like it's, I feel like mental math is one of those skills that you can only help your homeschool and your math understanding because kids are learning like in their brain to see how numbers fit together and how different ways to solve problems. So I think it's really important. I never remember how to pronounce it. This Kylush, I don't remember, Karen. But not that she may have this, but have you explored this with her? Even if it doesn't, this is, if you haven't heard of it, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's similar to dyslexia, but with math. But in my mind, that's kind of a way to explain it. But you may find some techniques to help her that if you look this up. Oh, Karen. My Benjamin is, he's 12, and he still struggles with math facts. I have found, honestly, once I got to the point where he could do them, like in his brain, and knew how to do it, I just decided to stop fighting that battle, and I gave him a multiplication chart that he uses I just keep it, it's laminated, and he just can use it anytime, which has helped, it speeds up the process of doing problems, but it's also that repeatedly seeing it, I think has helped it sink in. And so once I was confident that he knew how to do it, I just decided to stop fighting that battle and give him a chart. But I just came across a resource that may help as well. But like Tara says, at 11, I forgot that's how old she was. I remember she was much younger when you first came to my channel. It may be worth investigating that. About that. But yes, you know what, I would definitely consider just giving her the chart. But like I said, I did come across a resource that I thought was interesting. Let me see if I can share the screen because I do have it up still. And okay, it's Time for Learning is not the owner of the company, but they're handling, I guess they bought the Homeschool version of the company. So let me share that with you. This math is, it's an online program that adapts to your child. So you can see the price, $40 a year. And they do some testing, placement testing, and it will adapt. So once it feels like it's a mastery-based program, my understanding. And once as your students learn problems, those math facts, they move on. And they do it in math families. So, 3 minus 4, 3 plus 4, 7 minus 3, all of it, you know what I mean. So I will leave the link for that down there. So you definitely might want to check that out too as help. I don't know, but it goes through from addition through division. I hated extra math too, so I feel for your daughter. But yeah, check out that program. It looks really interesting. I like that it's adaptive to the student instead of just having to keep repeating things that they've already mastered and helping them to key in on those areas where they are struggling. So you can always go watch the demo and see. I don't know if they have a free trial or not. So let's talk some curriculum. I didn't even bring Beast Academy, and I should have. I love it. I do have a couple videos. So when this is done processing, I will have all the links down there. Beast Academy is has the reputation of being for students who are gifted in math. I don't necessarily think that's going to be true because, well, it really teaches kids to think about math in a different way and really take apart math, numbers, and problems, but it is challenging. So if you have a student who is quick to tears or doesn't do well with frustration, I would not recommend Beast Academy. But one of the things I really like about it is that it has excellent solutions. A lot of teacher guides, answer keys are just like the answer. Beast Academy is not that. It tells you how to get to the answer. It shows you the work so that you, as the parent, you can help guide your student along. And I think that's great. I mean, it's great for me because even though I love math, Beast Academy challenges me sometimes. But especially for parents who have math anxiety, they've got the answers of how to get to the problem. Because, yeah, nothing's worse than looking at an answer and well, how do I get there? Well, Beast Academy, I think, is a great choice for that. On the same realm of helping you get to your answers. I don't have an app. Yes, I do. There is an app called Photomath, and it's not installed right now, so I can't pull it up, but you can see it. Photomath. I'll try to install it. Photomath is fantastic, especially once you get to that middle school, high school level where kids might outpace you in your memory of math. You can take a problem, you can take a photo of a problem, and it will show you the steps as well as the answer. Now, the steps are not always the way that my daughter's math teaches, but at least sometimes we can figure out what it's doing and then put it into terms of what she's doing. So, Photomath, I think, is a fantastic program. Let me see if I can. So, okay, so you just take a picture of a problem. It scans it, shows you the problem, and then, well, there's no steps because the one I did was 18 plus negative 18. I didn't think that through. But if there were steps involved, it would show you the steps. So I think, it shows you that much. So I think this is a great option for those higher kids. Okay. This is just a totally fun math supplement. It's called coordinate graphing. And it's coordinates to do these things, but it's not just 4-3. They have math problems to solve before they can get their coordinates. And there's all kinds of them. There's fractions, decimals, logic, sequencing, mode, factors. I mean, it's got it all. And it is kind of middle school level. It's just a fun little resource. My daughter enjoyed it in middle school, and I'll have been work on it this year as well. Another thing that I wouldn't say is a full supplement or a full curriculum, but is a fantastic supplement is the Key 2 series. They have, and I have a video about this one as well. There's algebra, geometry, measurement, fractions, decimals, percents, measurement. Did I say measurement? Anyway, so each one is very, like there's 10 per topic in each one. So it gets pretty specific. So if you have a student who, this one was just on systems of equations. If you have a student who just needs help on like one part of it, or like there's polynomials, rational numbers, this is a really good way to have them do some practice different than what their curriculum is. And each page is just kind of a few problems. There is a little bit of teaching, but not a lot. So that's all the teaching for this section. So you don't, I would not call it a full curriculum, but I think it's a fantastic supplement. Or if you have, your student finishes the school year a little early and they need something to fill in, something like this to go through and kind of fill in their gaps or strengthen their skills, would be a great option. Another one that is a full curriculum, but we have not used it as such, is Dimensions Math from Singapore. It's basic. It's just an open, get it done type of program. It starts out with some basic practice and then gets more complex, uses them in different ways, word problems, etc. We have challenging section and an enrichment section. My daughter used this in 7th grade, I guess. No, 8th. No, we used it in 8th grade. 8th grade, in 7th grade, I had her take algebra class online, and she was ready for the material. Maturity-wise, though, I would have been better to wait a year. So in 8th grade, we ended up kind of using it as a filler year, stopgap type of thing, and we did just all kinds of different math things, and that was one of the ones we used. It really would have been better to flip that and have her do that in 7th grade and then 8th grade tackle the math class. Yes, so high school math is something I get questions about a lot, because that's when a lot of people, just in general, a lot of people will stop homeschooling in high school or middle school because they think they can't do it. We did make the decision, like I just said, in 7th grade to start outsourcing that. It wasn't that it was too hard for me to teach, but it was getting really time consuming, and I was afraid. I just figured, like, once I got to that level, it would be better for her to learn from someone who is really good at teaching math, because I figured she'd probably end up in a math field or a major that requires math. And I didn't want to risk messing up her advanced math skills. I think I could have done it at least through algebra, or at least through geometry. But yeah, anyway, it was a good choice. We went with my online math class, which I have a good video about. I love math. I absolutely love Mrs. Perkins. She is absolutely fantastic. Ben will take algebra with her next year. High school here is so 9th grade, which is roughly 14 or 15 through 17 or 18. My daughter was 14. No, she turned 14 in October of her freshman year. She's on the young side because we were in when she started kindergarten. But yeah, so usually 14-ish is freshman year. And then so middle school here, depending on where you are, some places started our grades like 6, 7, and 8, which would be like 11 or 12. Some places are 7 and 8. So anyway, math. This one is by Lial, and I think it is an absolutely fantastic math class or math program. We use this for pre-algebra, and then also algebra and algebra 2. That's what her math class that we used. And I knew that we would probably use her, and I'd heard good things about this program from the well-trained mind boards. So I used it for pre-algebra, and it is really good. It is a public school curriculum, older, as you can see, but it is solid. It has good teaching. There's a lot of problems on the page, which I'll show you in a moment, is why I'm not going to use it for Ben in pre-algebra, but it's really good. I bought her, we had 3 of these math books. I bought them all on Amazon, used. With shipping, we spent less than $50 for all 3 of them. So you can get a really good deal often on them. If you're willing, if you don't need it to be in fantastic condition. As you can see, it's not. I think it's a really, really good program. Before I go on, Khan Academy. I think Khan Academy is a solid program for supplement, but it can be really boring. It's repetitive in some ways. It's not my. I think it's a well done program, but for a student who, I just think it has to be the right kind of student to have the right fit for it. Their videos are fantastic. My daughter has used them all the way through Algebra 2. When she would get stuck on a topic, she would Google for Khan Academy's video of it, and those are fantastic. It's worth a try as a supplement. I enjoy doing it, but I think it's just, none of my kids love it. You gotta have it's gotta be the right fit for it. Their site, I agree, feels like there's so much on it, and like figuring out where to go. The way I have used it successfully, though, is by placing my kiddos in a younger grade level. One, they're not figuring out, they don't have as much to figure out with like how to do math the way Khan wants you and the problems, and it's good for review. So that's why my youngest used to be really sensitive about doing things below grade level. I just wanted to just review, and so I enjoyed that. We've used it in that way successfully. Right now with Matthew, I'm stalling a little bit before we go on in his Beast Academy, and we are using Math, which is out of England. I forget what it's called, what it stands for. It's a free one. PDFs, I have it loaded onto our iPad for Matthew, and I would say the way it approaches math is similar to Khan Academy, but it's easier to skip through and pick and choose. Each page has like 4 or 5 problems on it, and it's spiral or somewhat spiral. But it's really good. Like we can just go, like, okay, do numbers 2 and 4. Easy to skip through. I think it's a great program. We've used it in the past as well. But right now I just needed something to stall him a little bit before we did more beast, and I didn't want to buy anything, honestly. So math, I think, is really good. It has an answer key as well, and there's lots of different parts to it. We just use the practice, they're called practice guides, and then the teacher answer keys with them. But you can print them out, like I said, they're PDFs, so you can print or whatever. And with Matthew, again, I'm using it at below grade level, so that we can just do some review before we move on. Welcome to those who just joined us. Today we're talking about math here in the Homeschool Breakroom, and I'd love to know, do you enjoy math? Do you enjoy doing math, teaching math, whatever? So we've been talking about some different programs and such to use. Talking about high school specifically right now. So like I said, let me show you guys. Okay, so Elizabeth used Math Mammoth for most of her most of elementary, and it was a great fit for her. Ben hated it in part because there were so many problems and like repetition on it, which, yeah, he really hated that. And that was how we ended up. Well, first of all, we went to Met Math, and then, which does not, and then Beast Academy was Beast Academy, which also, again, does not have it. And that's one of the reasons we've stuck with it. So, like, this is a typical page. There's a lot of problems on there. They're not necessarily time consuming, but just like, that was overwhelming to him. So, he's finishing up Beast 5 now, which is a pre-algebra, pretty much a pre-algebra program. So I started looking for math for him to do when we're done, like in the spring semester, before he takes math next year using that book. And this is what I think we're going to try. It's Jacob's Algebra. It has a little bit of story with it-ish, but you can see there's a lot less problems on it. There's still a fair amount of wording, but this set of problems has 11 on it over the 2 pages. There's also some humor in it. There's little comics and such, which I think will be good for him. So this is what we're going to try for him in the spring. Life of Fred is Ben's absolute dream. Math. If I let him, he would use that solely. But we don't. We started it back he was in kindergarten. He's 7th grade now. So we've used Fred a lot. But Ben wants me to read Fred. He does not, he has no desire to use or to read it himself. And I hate reading it. So we use Life of Fred as a supplement. I have mixed feelings just in general about it. Whether it can be a strong enough math curriculum solely. I have mixed opinions, but I think it's a great supplement, and it's snuggly if you read it together on the couch. And I think those good feelings are well worth my exasperation with Fred sometimes, because he's good at math, he just doesn't enjoy it. So when I can create warm, cozy feelings around math, I think it's important with him to do that. The stories, they're fine. They just kind of drives me bonkers. But I think it's some kids absolutely love it. My daughter would have hated it. She has no tolerance for, I don't know, she would have no tolerance for Fred and his antics, but Ben loves it. There are elementary books, a set, like Apples Through Goldfish, I think, and or Honey, I think it's Apples, so it's like ABCD. You may check your library, Karen, and see if you can get it through your library or interlibrary loan, or check with your local homeschool friends, see if anyone has any. If you do it, I think it's well worth starting at the beginning of Apples, even though it would be below level. He does, the way he tackles math it would not feel to me like babyish starting there, and you get the whole story, because one book, like the story from one book leads to the story of another one next. So check it out, Karen. You never know. If nothing else, it may just be something that helps her to enjoy something about math. So Beast Academy is by the company Art of Problem Solving. And Beast Academy came after their high school level books and middle school level books. So this is the high school level one. I think that this is a fantastic program, but it is challenging. Not only is it challenging with the problems, the layout is challenging, and the way it approaches it, because they want students to kind of I don't know how to say it exactly, discover the answers, like discover how to solve problems. So it starts with some math problems at the beginning of the lesson, and then goes into the explanation of it. I don't even know if that makes sense. It is unique. It is very good. It is very challenging. They also, in their answer key, have good answers. There are online classes as well. And then some sites like Will Train Mind Academy offer that as a live online class. I think it's really good, but it's challenging. Of those three for high school level, the Lials is probably the one I would recommend the most from the average, just for most kids. But that's certainly not all there are out there for high school level. Sorry, things over. I completely lost my train of thought. I have no idea what I was going to say. But I do think that one of the biggest, when I was listening to that podcast about math, one of the things they talked about was how much our anxiety over math passes on to our children. Or conversely, how much those who enjoy math pass that love of math on to our children. And I thought, that sounds obvious, but hearing that reminder, I thought was really important, because how often do you hear parents say things like, well, I don't understand math, or they're trying to empathize, like, yeah, I've always struggled with math too, but that can kind of have the opposite effect for some children. Like, instead of encouraging them that they can get through it, it's emphasizing that math is just too hard. But I love math, and I love teaching it, and I hate it for parents parents who think that they can't do the math. And so they need to pass it off in some way. Now, there are legitimate reasons to outsource the math to something like teaching textbooks or another online math program, live classes. Mr. D's math is supposed to be really good. We have not used him, but for middle school and high school, he's supposed to be really good as well as Derek Owens. And again, I will leave all these links down in the down bar when they've, or the titles, once this is done processing. Yeah. But I love math, and I think it's fun. I love the challenge, and I love that discovery of like figuring out how problems work, or getting through a tough one, and that feeling of accomplishment. I absolutely love it. So those are some of my math resources, my favorite math things. If anyone else has any other questions about math, needs recommendations, has a recommendation, I'd love for you to leave it down in the comments before we finish off today. But like I said, if you are interested in that mental math, which I've now shoved to the other side of the table and I can't reach it, go check out my video about it, because it does go off sale on the 14th. And she said that the price will never be this low again, since she just released the program. So if you're interested, go check it out. And if there are no other questions, recommendations, etc., then we'll close off today. I have not thought through what's going to be next week's topic. If anyone has anything they want to chat about, leave it down in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you lovely ladies next week. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Goodbye.